Hey guys, Tudagamon here. I have told you many times that one of my favorite game engines is CryEngine 3, and so this benchmarking video holds special interest for me because not only it is based on CryEngine 3, but it is also a top-down RPG game, which is one of my favorite kind of games. As always, this recording is done on an external recorder at 60 frames per second, so what you will see in this video will be pure performance. This is especially important for games which are CPU limited, like the one I'm going to benchmark in this video. The CPU is Core i7-860 overclocked to 4 GHz as usual for this system, 12 gigabytes of memory, and of course this video belongs to a new series of videos on which I'm using the GTX 1070 with the Core i7-860. The video card is made by KFA2, latest force were installed. It is a little overclocked in order to reach 2 GHz in boost clocks, and of course I'm going to use fraps to gather frame rate data. We can see in this file my previous run on this very system, exact same game version. The only thing that has changed is the GTX 970, which is now GTX 1070, and of course we will see a comparison with flat at the end of the benchmark. So let me launch the game and let's see if the better video card can help a CPU limited game, at least in this instance. Quantum Break did perform better with the 1070 on the same CPU, although it is a CPU limited game. So let's see how this one fares. CryEngine 3 is supposed to be a well-threaded game engine. I'm not sure how this game will fare, of course, because as you can see on the show, a lot of optimization needs to be done. Anyway, 1080p resolution, of course, very high quality preset, no vertical sync since this is a benchmark, and for the advanced graphics I'm using high anti-aliasing. I have used this anti-aliasing in all my Wolcen videos, and everything else is at very high, following the preset. So let me go to my benchmarking location. The game has loaded. As you can see, at this part at least, all cores, even the hyper-threaded ones, are running like crazy, probably preparing data for the run. And as you can see, as time goes by, the CPU usage drops. They are probably preparing, pre-calculating some shaders or something In any case, this is not my benchmark location. I have to go to the Marley Forest, and this is where I can start my benchmarking session.
This guy thinks he's playing a shoot 'em up or something.
and I believe we are good here. Enough benchmarking data. The game is pretty fun to play. It will get a lot better, of course, in its final stage. Now the second run, as you can see, is the GTX 1070 plus i7-860. It did came up a little shorter, but that's not too bad. The performance overall is about nearly the same. 53 frames per second for the GTX 970, 56 for the 1070. So we're looking at huge CPU limits for this game. That's why I choose to benchmark it on low, although it is not finished by far. Frame rate is decent. We did have an area of the game where it dipped below 40 frames per second. The frame times are not good. You did see during the gameplay that we have the same stutters as before. All these have to do with the streaming performance of the system, and the GPU usage is not maxed out at all. At some points it drops below 50%. I'm expecting to see some idling clocks from the GTX 1070. CPU usage is medium to high. We are looking at a lot of thread switching obviously, but still if you see the overall CPU usage, you will see that it is above 50% throughout the run. So apart from the obvious thread switching, we do have some real CPU usage on the logical cores, the hyper-threaded cores. Oops, sorry, I was looking at CPU 8. CPU usage overall is what I want, and thankfully what I told you is true, but only by a little. Some parts do have 60 to 70% CPU usage. CPU temps are not too bad. We do have CPU number 4, which got a little heated, more than the rest of the cores at least. Okay, nothing too worrisome. GPU temps are okay. RAM usage at 4.1 gigabytes. 2 GHz for the core clock throughout the run, but we do have a drop of 13 MHz after a while. Memory video RAM usage at 2.8 gigabytes, quite heavy. The game is looking quite good, to be honest. So now let's go to the more important stuff. v.high, GTX 1070 first, 1070 my friend, and let's open first this run, 235. Yes, this is the run I want. Okay, now let's also open the GTX 970 with the same CPU. The older one is the 970. Okay, I believe I'm going to stick with these two. We have already seen a comparison with the 2500K on another video, or maybe, yeah, fuck it, I will also open the GTX 1070 plus i5 2500K. This one resides on my network drive, it's on my other system. Give me one tiny moment and we will be good to go. Wolcen. This one is the only on this system. It is the GTX 1070 with the 2500K. Very nice. So let's start with the current run to be correct. Let me zoom in a little. We can see we have some huge spikes in the frame times, some great delays. Halts actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. These may have been caused by actual hard disk access, but overall you can see that the frame times are very jumpy, a lot of spikes all over the place, and not only that, unfortunately they are above the 18 millisecond threshold, so the game runs not very good, does not run very good. We had the same stuttering on the GTX 970, only there it was a little worse. The 1070 did help a little with the stuttering, but nothing too serious. Time spent beyond 16.7 milliseconds are 55% of the frame times. That's why we have a comparable of 41 frames per second. It was 39 for the GTX 970, so we are looking at a clear CPU limited scenario. Frame times histogram not too good either, but you already know what to expect. Below above 16 milliseconds for many of the frame times, a few below, and a lot of variability in the frame times. Of course, these are all caused mostly due to the CPU limit. Nice coloring chosen by what the okay, this one will be the yellow, a little darker, and let this be, I don't know, red or something. Okay. Now as we can see, this new GTX 1070 plus i7-860 benchmark did end up quite shorter than the previous ones. I'm not sure why. Maybe my character has grown stronger or something. But that's okay. We can see that the performance is not great on either system, except maybe the GTX 1070 paired with the 2500K, which has the lower frame times, and we will see that in a more clear picture in the frame rate. Look at how fast is the 1070 with the 2500K in the red line compared to the 1070 with the 860. It is quite a lot lower. It goes higher in some parts due to the difference in location, of course. This is a dynamic game and you cannot possibly do exactly the same things. I'm just showing these graphs as a comparison overall. But they do show the limits of the system. Of course, you can see the average is completely different with the 2500K, and this was also a very CPU limited test. But still it runs a lot better than the 860, the Core i7-860, and this may even show that more threads do not really help most games. Of course, my test will go on, but until now it seems that the 2500 is a lot better at handling the GTX 1070, although the 860 is not too bad. Variability in stuttering, not great on either system, but it is better on the 2500 again. We do gain a little on the 860 with the 1070 in terms of stuttering. We lose a little in variability. These are very reasonable results if you come to think of it, because in frames that are more complex, the GTX 1070 will render them faster. In other frames which we have CPU limits, the 860 will come into play and cause this higher variability compared to the 860 with a 970. You do need a very good processor for this game. There is no way around it. And we can see the percentile graphs, how much better the 2500K is with the 1070. Easily distinguishable with the green line of the 1070 with the 860. Completely different performance. This will not help too much. And lastly, the comparable frame rate. Even on the 2500 it barely reached 55 frames per second. So of course the game needs a lot of optimization yet to be actually enjoyable, but for an alpha stage it is quite decent, to tell you the truth. Variability and stuttering overlaid for all systems, not too bad. Just let me do a basic calculation of the comparable, at least for the two runs of the 1070. The 2500 is indeed 34% faster. It is an overall quite faster system, and it is very reasonable to see this result. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. I will see you on my next video.